StormWatch number 26, written by Jim Starlin, art by Yvel Guichet. So, last issue, it was a whole race for this totem, artifact thingy, whatever. And then it ended with AI taking them into like super deep space against their will. So, we open up with Storm Control being told by Forecaster, hey, I don't know where we at. We're off the maps here. We're like way into scary territory. Just letting you know. And Storm Control's like, yeah, thanks, man. I knew that because AI basically said so. And he says, AI chimes in like, yeah, look, I get it. It's not ideal, but we need to make sure we're out of the area where like Extremax or the Collective is going to be able to deal with us. So, yeah. And then as AI is explaining it, saying like, look, Extremax is not going to like retaliate against the planet Earth. That's not the way he does things. The freaking Shadow Lord shows up and says, hey, Storm Control, AI is right. Extremax isn't doing that. So just keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about the story back on Earth. And then AI's like, see, I told you. And Storm Control's like, I'm sorry, you can see the Shadow Lords? And it's like, yeah, of course I can see this. What do you think? I'm stupid? So at that point, we continue to get our backstory, our little intro to how Midnighter and Apollo met on a alien ship that was doing experiments on them. Midnighter dropped in through a vent in Apollo's room, and Midnighter seems to be like significantly older than Apollo, but regardless, he's like, hey, I'm not here to hurt you, kid. And Apollo's like, please help me. He's just like, I'll do my best. God damn it, I'll try. So then some robots show up, drag Midnighter back to his room, and apparently they didn't see each other for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden they ran into each other again, but only after they escaped the aliens. So at that point, Apollo wakes up from a nightmare. He's in bed with Midnighter, and they basically go over the whole thing of like, yeah, no, it was traumatic being on that alien ship, but we have each other now, and even if we can't ever find a truly happy ending, at least we'll have each other. And they say they'll make the aliens pay for what they did, blah, blah, blah. So at that point, we finally get the point of this issue, which is that AI is trying to convince Stormwatch that Collective are the greater evil. So we've taken this ship out to Collective space, where the Collective has basically taken over these planets over and over again. And we see 3 different planets. I'll give it the long and short of it, because all 3 planets show the exact same thing, just in varying degrees. Apparently the Collective, on their path from normal creatures into creatures that can bend time itself and like creatures of energy, they completely threw away the idea of technology. They just lived as Luddites, and that's how they started. So whenever the Collective dominates a planet and takes dominion over it, they force the entire Collective to not only shed all their technologies, but actively resist it. Like they mess with their minds to that extent. So whenever a planet like this happens, it's all these people who are like, you know, they get introduced to like a very basic disease that should be able to be cured with like basic antibiotics, and then they die because of it, because they don't believe in the technology to make those antibiotics. And then there's like massive famines and massive pestilence and stuff like that, because they don't like use technology to improve their way of life. And AI says like, it's not normal. This is not good. The Collective were a freak accident, and they don't seem to want to accept that. And so they keep on trying to make it happen again, but it's never going to happen again. And they've killed billions trying to replicate it, because they're basically just lonely and they want another Collective to exist. So one little cutaway here is Lobo's talking to Forecaster saying, hey, can you tell me how the nanites in my blood work that'll kill me if I go too far? And Forecaster says, no, I'm the one who made them. And he's like, shucks, got me there. So that's a whole thing. We then see Hellstrike in his room, and I'm just gonna say it. It's been 7 issues since we've started this arc, and I'm only just now remembering that this guy's name is Hellstrike, since like issue 1 of the whole thing. So overall, we see Hellstrike is like thinking about something, says it's got to be him, whatever that means. And then we cut to the cafeteria where we see the guy who was like downloading state secrets onto a USB drive is still doing that. So we cut over to Extreme Max's guy and Mordak, and Mordak's like, hey, they got the artifact and I don't know where they went. So what do we do? And Extreme Max is like, well, we'll just have to wait for them to make a move. We then see that Jenny is about to leave a room. She comes across Hellstrike. She doesn't like being around Hellstrike, so she goes back into her room. And then she explains to Weird that every single mind screams out to her at all times. It's like a radio she can't turn off, except for Storm Control and Weird. And that's because Storm Control has psionic blockers, and Weird is a corpse that's reanimated by an energy being. I don't know why they felt the need to remind us of that at this point, but like, they did. So regardless, AI has shown them everything they need to know about why Collective is evil, and so she makes her case saying, we need to go talk to Extreme Max, get him to ally up with us against the Collective, and then we'll worry about taking out Extreme Max afterwards. Good? And everyone's like, okay, but like you've tried to do this over and over again. Why do you think it's going to work now? And it's like, because we have the totem artifact thing. That's basically the only reason I think it will work. So then we go down to Washington, D.C. We have literally Rand Paul. It's just him. He's just here in this book. And he is saying, I put forward a bill that we need to cut spending in the government. Therefore, I am proposing we slash the budgets of the CDC and NASA by 90%. And I will take no debate, and we will vote on this now. And we see that he is being influenced by the Collective. And like this regressive behavior is all just the Collective trying to make the planet the way they want it to be. And so we see the Collective talking, and they're just like, okay, we're doing our things on Earth, but we do have the problem that Jenny's soul is able to kill members of our race, which has never happened before. And we've already figured out that we can't like poke the timeline anymore, because it might make something worse than Jenny's soul that could kill even more of us. So instead, the idea is that we go back further in the timeline and we do a kill Hitler while he's a baby sort of thing with Jenny's soul. So we're going to go, but instead of killing Jenny's soul, it's all of mankind will be erased from the timeline in order to stop Jenny's soul from existing. So yeah, big threats. All of mankind's at risk. Yada, yada, yada. I liked it more than I liked that just expositional issue for Extreme Max. I think that this is a much better way to get the point across is show, don't tell. Show these planets that have all these problems and then, deal with it rather than just saying, and here's why Collective is bad, as we get a monologue that lasts 22 pages. So yeah, it's better, but that doesn't make it good. It still is like just talking. It's just so much talking. And I know that there's some books that I really praise for talking, but this is not doing it deftly. It just feels like exposition. It just feels like the story is always one issue away. We always are just around the corner from doing that thing that we've been promising we're going to do. So yeah, I gotta say this is like 5.5. It's above average. It's like, that's the thing. It's hard to get beneath a 5 for me, because as long as you're telling a cohesive story that actually makes sense beginning to end, like, yeah, it's a 5. Like that is like bare all I need to give you a 5. But this does nothing more than that. So I can't give it that much more over a 5. I'll give it a little bit because I got a tiny little chuckle out of the way that AI was talking to Storm Control throughout the issue, but like, that's barely enough for a point, so it's getting half of one instead.